to the Grassroots Weekend Preview. I'm your host, Beth. We're in the final month of the season for winter sports, and the action is heating up fast. Let's get this weekend preview rolling with a look at the AIHL. CBR Brave travelled up the Hume Highway on Saturday night to face the Sydney Bears at Macquarie. The Bears took an early lead, but it wasn't long before the Brave tied the game, and then proceeded to take a 2-1 lead in the first intermission. It was a similar tale for period 2. The Bears tied the game and took the lead, but the Brave answered back with 2 goals of their own. Sydney tied the game back up with the scoreboard reading 4-4 at the end of the second. The final period was all CBR, however, putting 3 pucks in the net to claim the 7-4 win. The Ice Dogs travelled to OBG Arena on the weekend to play 2 games against Melbourne Ice. Both teams were kept scoreless in the first period of Saturday's game. It was the Ice that broke the deadlock, scoring early in the second period and once more to take a 2-goal lead into the second intermission. The home side didn't slow down, scoring another in the third period. The Ice Dogs showed signs of life, scoring their first goal of the game just seconds after Melbourne's third. Sydney gambled with an empty net, but it didn't pay off, with the Ice putting the final nail in their 4-1 win over the Dogs. The Ice Dogs got on board early in Sunday's Swedish day game, taking a 1-goal lead into the first intermission. However, that wasn't the only action on the ice. Stephen Johnson was ejected from the game for a check from behind, shortening Sydney's bench. The Ice Dogs killed off the 5-minute major penalty without incident, but this indiscretion set the tone for the rest of the game. The Ice Dogs extended their lead in the second period with another goal, sending them into the final period with a 2-0 lead. Just when it was looking like Melbourne was falling into their familiar event game slump, they stunned the Ice Dogs with 4 unanswered goals. With the score now sitting at 4-2 in the home side's favour, the Ice Dogs showed the style of play that most people know them for. David Dunwoody drew Joey Hughes into dropping the gloves, with the Melbourne combatant looking more like a cage fighter than a boxer. Both players were removed from the game, but the game had already been decided. Melbourne took all 6 points from the doubleheader, with Sunday's final score reading 4-2. The Mustangs were hosted by Perth Thunder for the second doubleheader of the weekend. Perth got on the board early on Saturday to take the lead, but the Mustangs replied just before the first intermission to tie the game at 1. Perth would score in the second period to take the lead for the second time in the game, but a chippy third period saw the Mustangs tie the game and send the game into a shootout. Perth import Jessica Bernard was the only shooter to find the net, securing the shootout win for his team. Sunday's game in Perth looked similar to Saturday, but with a reversal in roles. The Mustangs scored late in the first to take a 1-goal lead before the Thunder opened the scoring early in the second to tie the game at 1. The Mustangs found the back of the net just before the last intermission and took a 2-1 lead into the third period. Both teams battled back and forth, but the Mustangs struck twice in the final 5 minutes to secure the 4-1 win and 4 valuable points from the weekend. In Newcastle on Sunday night, seasons were on the line for both teams. Newcastle struck first and then extended their lead late into the first, but the Bears beat the buzzer to get their own mark on the scoreboard. The second period was only minutes old before the Bears tied the game at 2-2. Newcastle answered back to take a 3-2 lead, but 2 quick goals from the visitors saw them take the lead for the first time in the game. Period 3 was an explosion in goals. Newcastle tied the game at 4-4 early in the third and added another 3 goals for good measure, sealing the 7-4 victory for the home side. After 15 weeks of competition, Melbourne Ice are in first place with 50 points, Perth Thunder are in second with 42 points, CBR Braves sit in third with 37 points, and the Mustangs hold on to fourth place with 34 points. This weekend's games get off to an early start, with the Sydney Bears taking on the Ice Dogs an hour after this show goes to air in the final Battle of Sydney for the season. Perth Thunder head to Adelaide for a doubleheader against Adelaide. The Newcastle North Stars travel south to play 2 games against their league leaders, Melbourne Ice, and the Ice Dogs will travel to the Brave Cave to face off against the CBR Brave. Round 5 of the 5x5 Roller Derby Championship took place last weekend. Newcastle took out Western Sydney 271-58. Hawkesbury Hills defeated Maitland 212-128. Varsity claimed victory over Sydney 190-92, and the Blue Mountains defeated Southside 300-99. The grand finals will be coming up in August, and we'll have more details for you as they get closer. And that's it for this week's weekend preview. Don't forget to connect with us on social media, Grassroots_AU on Twitter, Grassroots_sports on Instagram, and Grassroots Sports on Facebook. Keep up to date on what's happening in emerging sport via our website, grassroots-sports.com.au. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Friday for another Grassroots Weekend Preview.